Good afternoon, Cincinnati. Did I see you folks here? Did I see you in San Francisco 2 years ago? Do we have a movement? 1,400 people. 1,400 people. Let's be clear, with no mandate, with no particular money, have found a way to come to the Queen City of Cincinnati, to join together for 3 days to honor their moral compass that has brought them to this notion of full-service community schools. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lisa Villarreal. I'm the chair of the coalition, proudly, Coalition Steering Committee. In my day job, I work at the San Francisco Foundation as a program officer for education, where we have over a dozen districts in the San Francisco Bay Area that are planning their full-service community schools. San Francisco Bay Area, that. And today is really a dream come true for me. Like many of you, I've been at this for over 20 years, starting first as a teacher and counselor, a crisis counselor at a high school, realizing that I was losing kids every single day, dropping out, moving on, domestic violence, suicide, issues of hunger and poverty, not being able to figure out what we were going to do, how we were going to help them. We had agency partners across town. We had people that gave us their numbers for referrals, but we weren't making it happen. The last year that I left Jefferson High School in Daly City, I went to 6 funerals. 6. 3 were current students, and 3 were former students. And we realized we had to do something different. We had to build on the historical sense of school as a center of community to bring partners together. And here we are today in an amazing way to celebrate, to learn, and to grow together. I'd like to start out by acknowledging a number of leaders in the room. First of all, starting with the Cincinnati Public School leadership, especially Superintendent Mary Ronan. School Board President Eve Bolton. And Union President Julie Sellers. I'd also like to acknowledge the Community Learning Center Institute, especially Darlene Kamine and Annie Bogenschutz. I'd also like to acknowledge the many funders in the room, and if you can keep a secret, I'll tell you that we have about 50 funders that have been invited, and they're not on anybody's list, and we're going to be having some special meetings because there was so much interest in the community schools movement that they found a way to come to Cincinnati. So they'll be in and out of sessions, and we'll be having some great meetings with them this afternoon and tomorrow. So I'd like to acknowledge, sort of anonymously acknowledge, and thank the funders who have come. We have a number of city leaders that you're going to be meeting in a few minutes, a number of educators and parents, people here in the role as parent, in the role of educator. We have our National Planning Committee that I would like to acknowledge, and of course, our wonderful volunteers and our host committee. And last but not least, for this round of thank yous, I'd like to send a strong shout out to all of the staff of the Coalition for Community Schools and our leader, the director, Marty Blank. So we have a very diverse group of people here. We're expecting close to 1,600 by the time that Friday is over. They're coming from 38 states, from 5 different countries, 114 from California, 105 from New York, 77 from Wisconsin, 68 from New Mexico, 62 from Indiana, 55 from Tennessee. And we had dozens of people taking buses from Milwaukee, from Chicago, from Pittsburgh, and from many, many other cities. So far, we have had close to 400 people visiting one of 17 community learning centers. And can we thank our local schools, our coordinators, and our partners for sharing their knowledge with us? I'd also like to recognize and welcome the participants from this year's first ever Family and Community Engagement Conference, also sponsored by IEL. How many of you are from that conference too? Yes. The collaboration of these two conferences demonstrates the bridges and important connections between community schools and family and community engagement. So I'd like to take just a moment to share with you some thoughts about the state of the field. And I think we have, yeah, we have our PowerPoint here. So hang on just a second. You know that this movement has grown over many years to address a variety of need that is creating the kinds of disparities in classrooms and in schools that are creating substantial barriers to learning. And so we talk about addressing the conditions for learning, and these are some of the conditions that we're talking about. And I'd like to invite you to take a look at the Kids Count data source online to look up your own county and to look up some of your own stats so that you can make compelling cases for your own school boards and other groups of leaders. Okay. And the system of community schools, the systems of community schools, the sort of big family tree of community schools across the United States goes by a lot of different names in a lot of different places. And you're going to be hearing from some of them in the workshops and in the mini plenary sessions. But what's amazing is in less than a decade, we have had a 300% growth in the number of schools and districts that are claiming this big banner and this big umbrella of community schools. Yeah, and that's a big deal. That's a big deal. When we talk about our impact, let me give you some examples. And this isn't, of course, this isn't all of our impact, but some examples from different places across the United States. In Palm Beach County, Florida, nearly 80% of students who participated in an early learning program before kindergarten were rated fully ready on a state school readiness assessment as compared to those who didn't. In the area of keeping students in school, an evaluation of the Elevate community schools revealed that 8th grade students who consistently attended an Elevate out-of-school activity were significantly more likely to also participate in high school planning activities, high school tours, test preparation, mock interviews, etc. In the area of academic achievement, here in Cincinnati, Ohio, students in community learning centers saw, on average, a 5 to 6 point increase in their reading scores over 2 years from 2009 to 2011, and a 5-point advance in math scores. Cincinnati was also the first urban school district in Ohio to receive an effective rating and is the highest rated urban school district in the state. That's a lot to be proud of. In cost effectiveness, a social return on investment study done by the Children's Aid Society community schools in New York City found that every dollar spent on community schools returns between $10 and $15 of social value. And in terms of increased graduation rates, among the 90 communities in schools and 90 matched non-communities in schools, high schools, with complete data on graduation, rates among high implementers increased by close to 9% across 3 years. Now, not only do we have some boasting rights about some of these outcomes, but we have some very, very significant networks for capacity building. And you can see on the right-hand side of this page the Coalition for Community Schools Networks that we are featuring, and this is certainly not an exhaustive list, but the ones that we decided to capture on this slide. On the left-hand side, you see some of the external networks that are region-specific from across the United States, and I'm sure that if we took a poll across the room, we would see that many, many more are represented by you and your colleagues from home. In the area of policies, some big policy wins for community schools in recent days. There's been a $50 million investment at the federal level since 2008 in growing community schools, not including the $10 million appropriated for the 2014 grantees. We have a growing state momentum with $16 million invested by New York State and Washington, D.C., strong advocacy efforts in states such as Illinois, New Mexico, and Connecticut, and this is a sign in the increased interest and focus of our work at the state and national level. And I would add to that, as we're watching Common Core roll out, we're seeing some significant elements of community schools approaches and community school strategies bubble up in the Common Core implementation as well. And last but not least, when we look to Community Schools 2020, we see that we have grown a great deal in the last 20 years, and we ask ourselves, how are we going to continue to grow and get traction nationally in ways that we really deserve around policy, around mandates, and around money? We need the wisdom, we need the perspective, and we need the collective vision of you in the field to help us move the movement forward. And here are 3 ways right away that you can help. You can start by texting yes to the number provided. You can find Bill Potapchuk at the State Networking Breakfast for a group conversation on strategic planning, and we need your input on this national strategic planning. And last but not least, you can fill out a 5 to 10 minute online survey at the Action Center right outside. All in all, we're asking you to help us create an even stronger and more concrete vision for community schools as we strengthen our commitment to support our children, youth, and their families.